I like the Suns tonight. I like them laying 6. I thought that spread was fat for how bad they've been playing this season early on and how good Minnesota has looked.
Not so fast.
Midget.
Yeah, little guy. Hey, not so fast.
This is the first game of Booker, Beal, and KD. This is their debut together.
Yeah, that's fucking beat. Fuck Bradley Beal. He is the worst. And I'm officially off of the Suns tonight. I honestly might even fade him.
Justin Herbert, I'm just going to say it. He's mid. Dak Prescott, he's a coin respecter right now. He is. Jameis Winston, though.
I feel like he could go in the go-to category just because he's Jameis.
You could tell last night. Kent State had no business winning that game. They were never winning that game. Shit bets. I cannot believe what my eyeballs witnessed on the court last night in that. What the fuck, dude?
Took Nick Bosa over 0.75 sacks. So Baker's screwed. The offensive line is screwed. Nick Bosa is going to terrorize them. What's going on, chat? Welcome back. BTO episode 362, I believe, on this fine Thursday. We got plenty going here. We have the Jen coming on. Krabs is in Atlanta with Trent and a couple of everybody else. A little core prize picks trip. So it's me and the Jen today, who I'll bring up in a second. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about how we did yesterday. Put up the recap, Scoots. Let's get right into it. W Clippers. I mean, that was... We don't have many kind of solidified reads in the NBA because we're not really huge NBA guys. Betting as far as the stream goes, leave that to some of the people who do it pretty regularly. But, I mean, that was one that just had to be played. So, W Clippers, Queens over was absolute air. Super telling line. Virginia Tech shit wager. Nice 2-1 from Krabs there, too. A little sharp Arkansas outright there. And the Murray State upsetting Bradley. So, we love that. I might be the only one who wants it, Chiote. That might be factual. And yeah, James Harden definitely knew he had to show for the squad ride and for the king of the board play, which we had another 1-1, I guess, split, or not 1-1, I guess 1-0 for both of us on king of the board. So I have a little juice to make up. We got 3 plays to go, so we'll see how that goes. But a winner from Krabs yesterday with Arkansas plus the points, didn't need him, and a winner from me with the Clippers, which I really strongly debated putting a little alt line in there as the third play, but I held off since we had the whole rest of the week. But yeah, I mean, the Clippers, you love to have a sweat-free bet like that, especially in the NBA. I know there's a lot of variance, so there's a lot of bets that are either sweat-free or the worst wagers of all time, but we needed that one. We got to a nice crispy 3-0 start on the squad rides this week, and a pretty diversified portfolio too. I think we had the Bears on Monday night. We had the Stars on the ice Tuesday, and then the Clippers. So we covered, I don't know, 3 different leagues here. We'll see how we do today and tomorrow. I guess we will be running BTL tomorrow, but W recaps, and yes, both 3-0 would be nice. We do what we can though. 2-1 puts food on the table, or keeps it on the table at the very least. So yeah, W vintage James Harden last night. But we got stuff for today to get into, and that is for sure. Let's go ahead and bring the Jen up. So I'm pretty excited. It's like the first time I think we're going to do a full ice breakdown.
I'm incredibly excited. I just got a corp call. Can you kill time for 30 seconds?
You got it. You can keep talking a little bit about what we got going on here. But king of the board, I guess while we're still talking about that. So we're both 2-0. We got 3 plays to go. Krabs is going to have plays that he's going to be submitting. I think he's going to have 1 today, maybe more. We'll see how that goes. But just a reminder of how this works. We are doing it by units, which is why the odds are up there. So I'm very well knowing that taking -120, I'm going to have to take maybe a little short underdog on the ML to make up for that if I need it at the end, which will make it pretty fun and interesting. But I think I got maybe 1 or 2 today that we can talk about, but I'll definitely have some tomorrow. But a fat ice slate and probably a lot to go over that I like there. And yeah, we can talk about this too. Surgical 6-game stack on TNF. If you guys haven't tapped into the Prize Picks app or Goots, I assume you can put up the Trent tweet. I think he tweeted about it. Trent and Krabs are going head-to-head on a sharp versus square Prize Picks entry for Thursday Night Football tonight. Seahawks Cowboys are going to be sweating it, I believe, live from the Prize Picks office. We were crafting up some of these goblins on sweats last night, and you can see what they look like. Crabs taking that Micah Parsons under 0.25 first half sack is absolutely hilarious. So you can definitely see, even if there wasn't the sharp or square label up there, who crafted those. You can pretty clearly tell. So we'll see. Who you guys think is going to come out on top? Because to be honest with you, obviously, I lean a little more with the sharp squares, especially in prime time. But in prime time, a whole 6-piece of all the goats going over, that's a pretty tough ask for Trent here. Prize Picks coming out on top. Yeah, he just might. Trent's being 6 overs is so funny. Tie 3.
Crabs is literally the no fun police.
I know, dude. He's fading damn near every goat in the game.
Literally everybody.
If this game is 6-3 Cowboys, Crabs is
grubbing.
Yeah. Crabs is grubbing. I mean, he needs Micah to not. I gotta say that square is weird. Not to have him up for a full sack in the game, but the 0.25 in the first half, it looks pretty air. So you might be onto something with that one. But I like CD under. I like fading CD as well. But the rest of them, good luck. I do like DK too. But we'll talk about some of that. We will talk about some of that. He might hate sports. He just might hate sports. It could be a thing. Could definitely be a thing. And yeah, the crab collab might hit. Take this under now. Is Crab's going to Manders this week? No, he is not, because he's going to be in Atlanta. They're not just going there for this like tomorrow. They're going there for the SEC championship on Saturday as well. So they're going to be there, and of course sweating out a couple bets, which is huge. So yeah, you can't get to fade Tyreek in person. No Han, no Surge today. They are in Atlanta. No Surge for the rest of the week, I believe, unless they're doing something at the Prize Picks office tomorrow. But I haven't heard anything about that. Primetime unders have gone. With how they've gone, you might as well be anti-sports 100%. This is the information we need to see. Goots, go ahead and pull up this on the blue book, because this might be some new information. Combo square for Dak and Geno bumped down, and there's a boost. Those boost, if it is what I'm thinking, and we have both quarterbacks' yards boosted, that has been, I mean, a lot of things have been a death sentence for points in prime time, of course, but if that's the truth, good Lord, and for the people, Gouts. PTL tomorrow will be 100% happening. Pollard off the board. There we go. Oh, you got it up here. It would probably be to the right all the way on like where it says popular anytime TDs. Should be able to scroll maybe, and there'd be a boost section. Or maybe it's just on the home screen. You get to scroll all the way to the right. Blessing on under deck and Bo Nix under special. Probably. We'll talk about some squares in that game. Go to the homepage, Goots. That's usually where they pop at, and then go where it says boost on that little scroll thing all the way to the right. That is what I wanted to see. That's what I wanted to see. WGOT Glaze.
Yeah, I don't fucking use the blue book. Fuck the blue book.
Yeah, the only reason I use the blue book, because I mean, obviously I'm in Texas, so I can't use it anyways, is for these boosts. And we can go ahead and bring up the Jen while we're talking about this. Jen, how we doing?
Doing good. Sorry about that.
Good. You're good. Just talking a little bit, getting into the NFL slate. I guess talking about this Thursday night game. So I guess we'll start off there, and then I definitely want to do a full little ice report with, I mean, a pretty mid/limited CBB slate, which we usually do a majority of here, and can't do a full ice breakdown with Crabs sometimes. So I'm glad I have you here to do it. So I guess we can start Thursday night. What are your thoughts here in this game?
That's a lot of fine print in front of me. What are we doing right now?
We're just looking at, somebody brought up the boost, so we just had the boost section.
Oh, okay. So I got to read the top line. Prescott and Geno. Yeah, somebody pointed this out to me when they offer these boosts, the games tend to soar under. I lean under in this game. I've got 2 units on the Seahawks. I took the Seahawks. I bought it to 10, and I know I had POD Pete on my stream. He tried to lecture me about buying points. Yada 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 yada. I don't buy points all the time, but if I'm going to take a dog, I want it around a key number, especially against the home team as good as the Cowboys, who are 5-0 and 5-0 ATS. But I'll get into more reasons why I like Seattle, but I'm taking them plus 10 and I have some player props I like. But where's your head at?
Yeah, I mean, I like this under, and I hate coming on and saying that I love the under in primetime games because it just seems like you're just one of those guys who comes up and maxes them on Twitter and acts like you're super sharp taking primetime unders because they just hit every time. But this just feels like a super slow game to me because I think the Cowboys early on, which I guess we'll talk about sometimes when we're talking about prize pick squares and props for this game, I think they're going to try and establish the run there early. And I know you agree with that because you like Pollard. And then when they get into very obvious passing downs, I don't think that's going to go very well for this game. And I don't think the Seahawks are going to be able to catch up. And they don't want to put Geno Smith in situations like that where they're going to have to catch up and be in constant passing downs really themselves. So I think this is a field goal game that just gets ugly, especially, I mean, after seeing Seahawks defense get shredded for a bit, which they should have. I mean, it's the Niners. They give them a pass for that. But the Cowboys offense, I would argue, is nearly as good, and the Cowboys have been destroying some bad teams. I think they're running to a little speed bump here before a massive game next week. So under is kind of my thoughts.
I think it's a good underplay. Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't been smart enough as most people to just be blindly betting the under trend. So good on you if anybody has. I wouldn't stop here. I like it. My prediction would be Cowboys 20, Seahawks 14. I think that you mentioned it, and it's not groundbreaking news, but the Cowboys have played the second easiest schedule so far in the NFL. And I'm really not taking anything away from them because they've looked pretty damn good, except for obviously the hiccup against the Cardinals and getting shredded against the Niners, but they're beating the hell out of really bad teams. I think this is a really interesting spot because I don't know where you stand with the Seahawks. I faded the Seahawks coming into the season to miss the playoffs. It looked really bad to start. It's looking better now. Their season, in my opinion, is kind of on the line with this game. But the Cowboys' schedule gets very tough. And we know they've got the Eagles on deck next week. I don't really lean into look ahead so much in professional sports. I think about it more in college. But you could say that the Cowboys might be in a potential look ahead spot. The Seahawks, I think they're going to come in. I think they have to punch the Cowboys in the mouth. And I don't think they're doing that with Geno. You mentioned it, mid-major, a couple other people. I think Pete, Zach Charbonnet yards, over his yards for a prop, I think is a really, really good play. It's just a matter of success. I don't think it's going to be for lack of trying. Like, I think even if you always are fearful of a blowout, if you're betting a running back, right?
Yeah.
Because they abandon the run. I still don't really think they would abandon the run, even if they're down by like 10 or 13 points. Geno might be a little banged up. He hasn't really looked great. But I think they don't ask him to do too much. I think, he moves the chains. I think they probably run, pass. And I think they stay in this game. So, and on the flip side, I think the Cowboys, Dak's been a little bit more, I guess, conservative all year because you guys are under his interception square on the season. I think that's looking good, right?
Yeah, I think it's looking pretty solid. I don't know what he's at right now. He's got 6 now. So, I mean, he's 13 and a half, 12 and a half.
Okay.
People have different lines, but it's around there.
Okay. So, I mean, all things considered, I mean, this was a guy that threw the most interceptions in the league last year or close to it. So it's been a really good read from you and Krabs on, the no Kellen Moore thing. But I think now, again, we talk about this like in the season, it's the back 9. Games are getting more and more important. The Cowboys know who they have on deck. I think this is probably a pretty conservative game from Dak. And I think I asked you Monday or Tuesday, you and Phil's, if I could be the first one on Twitter to declare it Tony Pollard Day. And you guys told me everybody says every Sunday since week 1 that it's going to be Tony Pollard Day. And he just keeps burning them. Everybody. I like Pollard. I played him finally in Thanksgiving. He went over. It was a bit of a sweat. I don't know if he scores, but I think it's kind of, maybe it's the obvious play, but I like both running backs in this game, which obviously leans into the under. And then I hope the double-digit dog covers.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. And I kind of like Pollard. I don't know if I'm going to play him, but it kind of plays into the other prop / square in this game that I like that has magically been popped up as everybody's favorite prop, but I'm standing on it because talking about it last night and I kind of fell in love with it. Michael Gallup is everybody's favorite player today. All of a sudden, he's plus EV popping up everywhere on Twitter, which kind of sucks, but I don't really care because the way that I looked at this, initially it was like process of elimination because I thought first of all, I think that the Cowboys in this game early on are going to be pretty conservative. I think it's going to be heavy Tony Pollard, which is a pretty good game script for you. But I also look and I see CeeDee Lamb, who anytime I've seen on primetime a receiver get a taco of like 25-ish yards, they haven't sniffed it or haven't been fat out of the game really ever. I mean, the last time I remember that was Mike Evans in Buffalo, who everybody nuked his prop. We were literally in Buffalo to watch him do nothing for 99% of that game. So he went under. There's a couple of them that have done the same thing on primetime. So CeeDee Lamb especially looks ridiculously tasty at a 58.5 taco that they were so gracious to give him this week. Then I look at Brandon Cooks, who had everybody saw him leading off the Thanksgiving slate, having a amazing game, or middle of the Thanksgiving slate, have an amazing game because CD is, I don't know, maybe a little banged up or whatever, but he wasn't a huge facet of that game against the Commanders either. Brandon Cooks was the downfield guy, caught the massive touchdown. His line is essentially the same and ticking down as it was last week. So that left me with a couple guys between Michael Gallup, Jake Ferguson, Jalen Tolbert. I like Ferguson. I think I like Gallup a little better, especially because I don't know, randomly they've been targeting him very early in these games, and I don't know if that's like a deliberate thing, but like I was looking at like the last 2 weeks, he's caught the first pass on the first play for the Cowboys. So something that I was kind of leaning into here. I think he gets this pretty early. So I saw this little bet, which I guess some people on Twitter, not with this one specifically, but a lot of the lotto guys love to take. I'm taking a little Gallup first to 20 yards, which is plus 1,900.
Oh,
A little race to 20 yards.
That's fun.
That's a little fun one. I mean, I think if he doesn't get it very early in this game, I don't think he's going to see the volume necessary to get it at all. So I think we find out pretty quickly whether he's going over this line or not. And with how much he's been targeted in the last couple of weeks early in games, and you're going to see Witherspoon on a good deal of CD and Cooks early in this game, and really, I guess, for the entire game, I'll take a stab. But I hate that he's plus EV and everybody's favorite prop, but I'm sticking with Gallup today. And this line's creeping up too, which is huge.
I never thought I would see Michael Gallup at such a low total. If you took me back a year or two, when Amari Cooper left the Cowboys, I was like, man, I think Gallup is a badass. CD and Gallup, I think that's a fine one too. And now looking at him at 16.5, it's crazy. I would have never seen that coming. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I would avoid CeeDee Lamb. I'm kind of getting like a Jordan Addison vibe on CeeDee Lamb tonight in that primetime game. He was, I told you about that square, 47.5.
Yeah.
It did move up. It was even lower on Prize Picks. He stayed under barely, and there were two big plays. I think one bomb that he dropped, like the first game and first play of the game, not on him. It was a tough catch. And then the missed throw by Dobbs, wide open for a touchdown. I could see something like that kind of happening. So yeah, all for it.
Yeah, I'm with you. On the other side, though, I kind of like DK. That would be my kind of square guy in this game, which he is absolutely horrendous for whatever reason against like a lot of softer zone coverage, which like the Niners were playing for a little bit, but he was also up against Travarius Ward. So it's a tougher matchup than I think he's going to see today for parts of it. Mm-hmm. But against man coverage, he's been pretty good. He's kind of been Geno's bailout guy, which when you see those larger spikes, it's a lot of it is against that. So he's my guy that if the Seahawks are trailing late in this game, I think it's going to get a heavy dose of volume. I think he matches up pretty well. So that's my squarer guy in the game. I don't know what you think about that.
I like it a lot. And what's funny, as much as I do really like the under, I kind of like the Seahawks offense. And I don't know here's the thing. I don't know if they score points, but I do think that they move the ball. And if you look at the Seahawks, what they've done at least the last year and this year on the road in domes, they've been playing really well. I mean, they've played in Detroit back-to-back years. They've scored over 30 points each time. I pull it up here last year. They played in New Orleans. They scored 32 points. In LA, they play the Chargers, 37 points. At Arizona, 31 points. They play really, really well in domes. So I would say if you're going to play a player prop, you should certainly do an over of some sort for an offensive player for the Seahawk, I would think.
Let me ask you, too, because I don't know how you feel about the look-ahead spot-ish. Not look-ahead spot, but just weird scheduling spot for the Seahawks because they have to play. I think they go Niners, Eagles as well the next 2 weeks. And they have, obviously, a little longer week in front of next week playing on Thursday night here. But I've been kind of figuring out what that makes me think for the offense tonight.
I see. I don't really necessarily think it applies to the same way it would to the Cowboys. If you're the Seahawks and what are they now? Are they 6-5 on the year?
6-5, yeah.
You're 6-5. You know you're not going to win the division. You just have to win games and get into the playoffs. So every game matters. Whereas I'm not saying every game doesn't matter for the Cowboys, but it's a little bit different when you're like one game back, or are they 2 games back from the Eagles, and you still want to get the division. I think that matchup is probably just something that could be a little bit more top of mind, where the Seahawks just got body bagged by their division rival, and now they're fighting for their lives. So I think every game matters. And honestly, I think people kind of expect the Seahawks to be flat. People are going to expect the Seahawks to be flat. Are they a dead team? I don't think they are, because I think Pete Carroll is a really good coach. And I still do think they have some dogs on this team. If Geno's hurt or not, I think they're going to compete. Like that's just my personal opinion. And then at the same time, the Cowboys not having played anybody really yet. So are the Seahawks good? Are they bad? Somebody mentioned in the comments that the Cowboys beat the shit of the Seahawks. The Seahawks are just going to be labeled another really bad team. I don't think we're going to have that conversation, because I don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, I'm not really too worried about that. I think the Seahawks are in survival mode, and that's kind of why I think they're a live dog.
That's kind of what I was thinking, because, I mean, looking at the schedule, obviously they got shit pumped by the 49ers on Thanksgiving. A couple extra days of rest, I guess. Not really, I guess, because another Thursday night game. But then they have, a week before they go to Levi's Stadium.
Yeah,
which is, I know they just got pumped by the 49ers. Like, I can only assume that game is going to be a little closer and weird, but this kind of feels like, I know they catch the Eagles at home, but this feels like the sellout game between the two of the 49ers and this week's game.
Yeah.
It's like, I think you're going to get a pretty inspired effort for the Seahawks. Like, will it come to fruition? I really don't know. I don't think they win the game, but I think they can make it really weird and close, at least towards the end of the game. So I kind of think they're going to come with a very conservative play script and play, at least at the beginning, not to lose, which would mean, I know, a lot of Zach Charbonnet, a lot of short passing game, because they know damn well Geno's going to be under pressure, and he's horrendous against pressure. So I think they stay in it. So I'm kind of with you on the Seahawks.
And as a Seahawks fader, I really don't want them to win the game, obviously. And part of the reason that I also bet against them on the season was their schedule was not very favorable. They had an early bye, I think one of the earliest. I think they had a week 5 bye. And their travel was insane. They were West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, East Coast. A lot of miles, a lot of travel, and then they got that early bye. So now they have fucking 13 games with no break, no week off. They're starting to get hit with injuries. So you're right. That's why I think like this is a must-win game. Before, if they lose, I think that they start to get a little bit more deflated each week.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So we have, I guess we can put this in like the rolling banner, Goots, of best bets. DeGen at Seahawks +10 and me with the under 47.5. You can put that in the banner, stick it at the bottom since we have no graphic today. But yeah, I'm with you on the same page there. I don't mind either angle.
I think Dak throws an interception, by the way. Did I mention that?
So do I. Yeah,
you do? Okay.
I do. I do think he gets an interception, partially because like you're going to see CD and Cooks have pretty tough matchups pretty much the entire game against that secondary. So I think the downfield passing game is going to be a challenge, but I think you're going to see a time or two where Dak forces it. So I think he's going to struggle for a little bit and force it down the field, and that's going to be a problem against the ball hawking secondary. So I'm kind of on the same side there. I might take him to throw a pick on Prize Picks as well.
By the way, I see people asking, is this like a surgical stream? Are we having anybody up, or is this a behind the lines?
No, this is BTL.
Oh, okay. Got it.
BTL. No surgical stream. Okay. Anytime Trent is not on at this time, people don't read. They just ask if there's surgical stream. So I don't know. But he's for the 50th time to chat. He is in Atlanta for the next 2 weeks, or not 2 weeks, 2 days. So it'll be BTL today, BTL tomorrow. No surgical stream. All right. Let's go to the ice. Let's go to the ice. It's one of the few times, and Goots, you can just put up the odds for this. There we go. Well, the few times we can do a full slate breakdown of the ice, because, I mean, love crabs, but if we were doing a full breakdown of the ice, I'm pretty much talking to myself on most days. So I want to hear what you have to say on some of these games, and it's actually a really interesting and good slate.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm excited to talk about it with you. I did see lurking in your board review, Bruins POD minus 500.
That's actually not my real POD. That's
I
just,
know. I saw that.
that's a PD for the trolls. I like to throw them a little fucking piece of bait out there. The real POD will be the Minnesota Wild, which we'll get to. Which game do you want to talk about first, though? The Bruins?
I mean, do we need to talk about the Bruins?
I don't think so.
Do you think the Sharks are kind of live in this game? Because
No.
I don't.
No.
So I just don't want to even sniff it. So I think we're good there. We talk about Panthers Canadians real quick. That's
yes.
a little bit of a, I think you mentioned this too, a little bit of a hefty price for the Panthers on the road against the Habs, which, I mean, the Habs have been more than respectable. They're coming off a win as a dog yesterday, and they're staying at home, which is interesting. I know the Panthers just had a crazy, ridiculous game that they just played themselves, but seeing minus 250, and I think that line has climbed a little bit to minus 250 was a little surprising to me.
It's very surprising. You know, we all have those friends who are, you know, like your typical square public bettors. And I'm not saying like I'm fanning anybody, but you can always just kind of gauge like what the reaction or the perspective is to a price when you hear someone's reaction that doesn't bet like that at all. You know what I mean? And my friend, who is also a Panthers fan, texted me and he was like, I can't believe I've never thought I'd see the Panthers be minus 250 on the road. Like, that's a really, really big price. Even I know they went to the Stanley Cup, but I mean, they're not necessarily lighting the world on fire. Yeah. And I mean, 250 for a road team is a lot of respect for anybody not named the Bruins or Avalanche. So it would be really silly of me to try to get cute and fade the Panthers. I really wanted to take the Leafs the last game. Do you remember how that played out?
Yes, I was in the same exact headspace, and because I had Stars and Oilers on that card, so I was like, all right, I know, or at least I thought that I knew, we're not getting sharp Stars, sharp Oilers, sharp Leafs all on the same day. So I was trying to pick the one that was going to be a little sketchy, and the Leafs, somehow they all came through, two of them in a shootout. So
that was wild.
That was crazy.
So what my buddy also told me, because he follows the team, is he said the coach, they're on this Canadian road trip. So they were in Ottawa, then they're in Toronto, now they're in Montreal, W geography. But he said the coach mentioned they're treating all of these games like playoff games. And you've seen that so far. They stuffed the Senators in a locker 5-0, which is incredible because I faded the Senators. So I love to see that and bet the Panthers that game. But then in game 2, the Leafs were really rested. They've made some line shifts, which we'll talk about later. I expected some offense, and I bet the over, and I did not get it. Didn't get anywhere near it. So you've got 2 under games so far in this Canadian road trip. Now you're in Montreal. The Panthers are a pretty good under team. It feels like the gross play to get on this over, and I think I kind of want it. I'm sort of expecting some offense from both sides here. And I could not be convinced to fade the Panthers right now because of how they're playing. Even though they lost that Leafs game, I think they were the better team from what I followed. Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing, but from what I followed and just from kind of keeping tabs on the box score, they were the better team. So they're not a team that I want to get in front of right now, but and in terms of a total, I feel like 7 goals would be a tough, uncomfortable position. So that's kind of the bet I want to make in this game.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I kind of want to lay the Panthers on the puck line. I don't like laying favorite puck lines very often, especially when they're plus money, because that rubs me the wrong way. But yeah, like you're talking about, their defense has been much better on this road trip, and especially with the Habs coming off of that weird situation last night. That game was super strange, and their offense has been like respectable on the road, but at home for some reason they can't score goals. Like, there's a pretty large discrepancy there. So I think they run into a buzzsaw here with the Panthers defense. So I mean, if this game goes over, I think it might have to be 6-1 Panthers, which I think is very well I think it's a possibility.
Somebody just asked if they treat it like a playoff game, you want the over. How does that correlate? That's kind of the point. The under would make sense, especially because they've gone under in the first 2 games of this road trip. But sometimes the unexpected happens, and that's kind of where I would get cute. But I don't know that I don't necessarily like it enough to play. That's just my only lean in the game. But yeah, I don't want to get in front of the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, I think I'm going to lay. I think I've talked myself into that puck line.
I co-sign that.
Blackhawks, Red Wings. This is one that I've kind of gone back and forth on this one. What do you think?
I think I like the under. It was kind of an unexpected response by the Blackhawks after the Connor Bedard rumors. I had the Kraken team total over in that game, 3.5. Didn't get there. They landed on 3. I was really surprised. The Kraken are not the Kraken of last year, but they've still got some guys. They've still got some talent. I think they're a better team clearly than the Blackhawks, but they went down 2-0 real quick. So kudos to the Blackhawks for responding after all that, controversy and whatnot.
Yeah.
Now going on the road and playing in Detroit, I mean, I respect the Red Wings. They hung with the Rangers. I'm a Rangers fan. The Rangers are a wagon and arguably the best team in the NHL right now. I don't know how they're doing it, but I think the Red Wings are a pretty good team. And this might be just kind of one of those situations where I'm not going to play the Red Wings minus 200 or 205, but I don't see the Blackhawks having another repeat offensive performance like that, 4 goals against Seattle. So I would probably play the under here. What is it? Minus 120 or plus 120? Minus 120.
Minus 120.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a tight game. I don't see how it's anything more than 4-2 if the Red Wings win.
Yeah, I looked at this and I initially thought, even for like the Blackhawks, it was kind of a steep price for the Red Wings off of back-to-back, which is not – I still don't not believe that necessarily, and I've seen a couple people liking the Blackhawks. I think – maybe it's square or whatever. I don't know if you can really say that about taking the Blackhawks, but I kind of like the Blackhawks, and a lot of it has to do with Reimer, who I believe is in net. He has been beating up on shitty teams, and when he's seen teams like the Sens and I believe the Panthers, that's when his results have kind of evened out. So like now, I think the Blackhawks team is getting a little buzz right now. I think they go on a little run for maybe a week when they're playing a couple of these teams in weird spots, and I think they're going to be dead after that. But right now, I think is when the iron strikes hot with the Blackhawks. I kind of like them today to pull a little upset in this game.
Is it Reimer or is it going to be Leon?
I believe it's Reimer.
Okay.
That's what I don't think we've seen confirmation, but
so
either way, to be honest with you, I would love to fade Reimer, but I would also just love to back the Blackhawks offense in this little stretch.
Fair enough. Leon in his last 2 games, he allowed 1 goal against the Wild and he shut out the Jersey Devils. It says Reimer expected. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, if that's the case, then I'm off the game entirely. But I wouldn't overthink it, and I'd probably go with an under if Leon plays.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, I'd love to fade him too after those last 2 games.
Fair enough. So you're going for the jugular, Blackhawks money line?
Yeah, I'll go Blackhawks money line on that one. Pens Tampa. This game is interesting to me. I'm stunned to see this at a 6.5 minus 115 to the over. Stunned to see it there because I think you mentioned this too. The Penguins, I think, have hit 5 or 6 straight overs. They've been playing extremely tight defensive hockey, kind of star style hockey. Not to say the goaltending has been absolutely incredible, but they're not letting many shots get to that point in certain spots in these games. And the Lightning, I don't know what the deal is with their offense right now. If Kuch is not creating any sort of playmaking, they don't have it. So like they've been pitiful to watch. But when I think about that, the way the Penguins have been playing the last handful of games, super tight, super low scoring hockey, and this is the first game back for Vasi at home. I was very surprised that we didn't see a 6 in this game, or at least a 6.5 juice the under. So I mean, I'm kind of thinking goals here.
Yep. This is so kind of what I was explaining, where taking a Panthers over would feel uncomfortable right now because it's kind of what doesn't make sense. This is the ultimate one. In my opinion, this is the most obvious under on the board with how these teams have been playing. Vasilevsky coming back home, and then you look at the Penguins. Jari's actually been playing pretty well. And I'm sorry, I keep saying the Panthers. The Penguins have gone under in 6 straight games. Their defense, there's a guy that comes in my stream that follows the Panthers. Jesus Christ, the Penguins. And he had mentioned how they've made a defensive shift. And it's actually been working quite well. So it would be really tough to want to put yourself in a position of expecting goals, in my opinion, from a Penguins team who's gone under in 6 straight, and then with a Lightning team that scored 1 goal in back-to-back games. And then you're questioning it too. I kind of am as well. I have been in love with this Lightning team for a while. I even went down and watched them when they play the Avs in the Cup. And the Avs won that game. And one thing I remember telling myself is, man, these guys they got a lot of miles on them. And I'm not talking about flying. I'm talking about skating. They've played a lot of hockey. I don't know if there's a team that's played more hockey. When you go to all those Stanley Cups, I think there's just a lot of wear and tear. And I think they might just be getting a little bit old. I don't know. So it's not a team that I really want to back at all this year. I did bet the over when they played the Coyotes the other night. Didn't even get close. So it's tough. I think I'm going to stay away from it. But that I do think the gross play would be the over. And I agree with you. It's very telling that the over is juiced, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think we're on the same page with this next game too, with the Kraken, which this game has gotten pretty interesting over the past, I guess, couple of hours. Now that we see Jaden Swartz heading to the IR, which is weird for the Kraken after he got hurt at the last game. So now, I mean, they're coming off of that Blackhawks game. You could argue that's the potential most embarrassing performance of their season, and now they're coming into this game in Toronto, who just had that miraculous shootout win, and they're missing Schwartz. Obviously, they're missing Burakovsky, who's been out for a majority of the season. I think they're missing Brandon Tanev still, too. So, I mean, 3 massive starters that they're going on the road to play the Leafs. This just absolutely screams they win this game for God knows no reason. And I love that Joseph Wall is in net, who's coming off of he was in net for that game where they won the shootout, where he's been pretty mid, I guess, up until that point. Just had a great game against one of the better offenses in the league and won that game for them with a couple of massive saves. And now you get a Kraken team who's been pretty inept. Yes, they give up a lot of goals, play a lot of these faster paced games on the road, but they haven't really been coming through in spots like this. So this is probably Kraken ML for me.
Well, I wrote it on my board and then I erased it. I had the Kraken plus 1.5. The Kraken were road warriors last season. They're not as great on the road straight up, but they are on the puck line. 9-3 on the puck line on the road, and the Leafs 2-8 at home on the puck line. They're soft. I bet on this Leafs team to win the President's Cup, and I regret it. They, in my opinion, they've just got tons of talent, and they mentally top 2 inches just don't have it. So they did just make a change up. I see Chaco in here asking 17 times if we can talk about Nylander being on Prize Picks.
I was about to get to the Prize Picks board for both these teams. Scoots, you can pull that up because there's weird squares on the board, I would say, on both sides. That's probably one of the primary ones.
So one of the reasons I bet on the Leafs last game is because I read that the coach, I think it's O'Keefe or something, he's getting really, really frustrated and his seat's probably really hot. So he just changed up the lines. I do believe Marner and Matthews were playing together, and Nylander and Tavares were playing together, and they switched them. So now Nylander is with Matthews on the top line, and Marner is with Tavares. And from what I understand, Marner and Tavares play really, really well together. I don't know how it really impacts Nylander. If anything, maybe it takes away a little bit from his production, and then you would want to lean into Matthews more because maybe the pressure's off him and it's more so on Nylander because he's a goal scorer. I don't know. Pick your poison on this one. I don't know that you could go wrong. I don't know.
I'll tell you what I like.
Okay.
If we're talking Prize Pick Squares, one of my favorite things to take really the entire season whenever it's offered is Austin Matthews' assist, especially now with Chaco's talking about Nice on the board. Or Nice just on this line period. He's been ridiculous in the last couple of weeks. And whenever they put up Austin Matthews' assist, when there's also a goal on the board, it's pretty telling because everybody's going to want to take the goal. Everybody wants to take his SOGs. So I love taking that, especially when you have a new face on the board for a goal, which is Nylander today. So whenever there's guys who are not usually on the board for goals, which the common cast is like Austin Matthews, Pasternak, the 2 guys from the Avalanche. We have like McKinnon and Rantanen, but Nylander is, I don't know if I've seen him up there before, which is pretty interesting. It's not like he's been putting the puck in net very much lately. So to see him up there is pretty interesting. So I like Austin Matthews' assists. And then when you go to the Kraken, they have a lot of guys up for a point, which, to be honest with you, I like the over in this game too. I think this game soars. It's just, it scares me because the Kraken have been wagons for road overs. But
yeah,
when I see stuff like this, I mean, pointed out Eli Tavanen up there for a point. I don't know if McCann's going to play. Definitely Schwartz is not playing, but that's a hit. But McCann's got a point square. Eberle's got a point square. Matty Beniers is probably my favorite out of the bunch. He's got a point square. The whole damn team has a point square, which is a lot. It's not like these guys are super green. You got Bjorkstrand down there too. Vince Dunn has a point and an assist square.
Can you click Beniers' chart? Can you click Beniers' chart? I think Beniers just scored I feel like Beniers has been on a tear. Just his points, does it show? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he hasn't been on a tear. He just had 2 last game. Okay, so I just have recency bias. Yeah, I like where your head's at. Especially, I think I've told you about it in baseball. Like if I go to an over with a team and I get burned, it's always the following game where the fucking, it'll come easy and you're like, damn.
I was going to say too, that's another angle for it because that Leafs Panthers over was everybody's POD for whatever that day was, and that was obviously 2-1 in a shootout. So now coming back where the Kraken, yes, they've been scoring and giving up goals on the road, but just as an overall sample size, they haven't been putting the puck in net all that much. I think this is the spot to back them. So
yeah, I like it. I would be nervous. I would be nervous about the Kraken though, because the only reason is, I mean, if you like goals, I think the Leafs are going to outlast the Kraken. Also, with the way the Leafs won that game against the Panthers, and after that first game of those line shifts, I feel like now there's one game of more familiarity with their style of how they're going to play with each other. And this could be where they fucking unleash. That's my only concern. It could be like a 5-3 game.
No, that's fair. That's fair. You know, this reminds me of, I think this was towards the beginning of the month. They had a road trip where they went and they lost to the Coyotes in a shootout. And then they came back with a day of rest in between and beat the Avs on the road. This reminds me of that, going and losing to the Blackhawks now. And I don't know if that game went to OT, but I know it was a 1-goal game. Yeah, 4-3 in reg, and now they're going to Toronto across the border to play the Leafs. This spot, I can't get that comparison out of my head, so it feels very similar. So I'm going Kraken and probably going over there.
Okay.
And yes, look, even Trent's on it. Trent knows the vibes with these squares.
Vince Dunn,
point square and assist square on the board. Sure, he might score. He might score for the Kraken. Should be huge. Yeah, there it is. Click on the charts. Click on the charts. I want to see what he's done. I didn't look at the charts for Vince Dunn. Yeah,
every other.
Yeah, every other.
Coming in hot this game.
Check the assist. See what the assist
What
is.
does that mean? It means he's going green. He's nasty. I don't know anything about Vince Dunn. He looks young.
I'm in on Vince. That might be my guy for that game.
Yeah. Okay.
We can move. We can move past that game. Let's go to Philly. I think that game's in. Yeah.
Yes.
New Jersey and Philly. I don't have too many thoughts on this game just because I feel like, I don't know. You made this point last year with the Devils, and it's not that they're getting respect in this spot necessarily, but I've seen the Flyers at plus money so many times, and I think they're like to some degree like a better team than people realize, but we've been seeing them at plus 110, plus 120 for God knows how long, and eventually I think we're going to start to see a slide. I think Vegas kind of knows something with that team that they're going to start to regress. I know you love Carter Hart, but that team as a whole just offensively has been overperforming their metrics by quite a bit. So I don't want to try and snipe them as a short dog again. I don't know where your head's at.
Well, I would just say I don't want you running out there on the street saying I love Carter Hart. I think
you like Carter Hart.
I like Carter Hart. I was watching. If there's any puckheads in here, I'm sure everybody might remember, and maybe they mumbled to themselves 3 years ago, Carter Hart might be the next Henrik Lundqvist. He was phenomenal. I don't know what happened. Carter Hart flat out lost it, but he had some nice showings. And the thing is, he's played really, really good teams. The teams he's played, the Hurricanes twice, the Knights, the Islanders suck ass. The Rangers, like I said, are the best team in the NHL. So he's played some really good teams. He has not looked as good as I had hoped. I did play his player prop and tweeted about it once, the over saves, which is a fucking sweat because this was when they played the Knights. The Flyers block so many shots. You know what I mean? They play a little nasty. They make the lanes messy, a lot of traffic in there, but The Devils are over wagons. And they just scored 5? They had a nice comeback win against the Islanders at home, 5-4. This would be a tough under to play because the Devils are involved. And I think that's what I like. I think I like a really low scoring, tight game. I think I like Carter Hart to have a pretty decent performance. I still, like you were saying, the Flyers at plus money kind of reminds me of like the Detroit Tigers at plus money. Maybe not last year, but a year or two ago. It's like they beat a couple big teams and it's like, ooh, the Tigers are plus 140, plus 135. Taking them plus money. That's kind of what the Flyers feel like. And I think they're going to start to regress a little bit because I don't think they're that good. They're just kind of a scrappy team. So I think we get a tight game. I like the under in this spot and in this spot. And I think I like Carter Hart legacy.
Yeah, I can get down. I don't know. I would have liked the under a little bit more if we were seeing 6, which I don't know if you can give that line to the Devils, but they've gotten healthy over the past couple games and dropped 12 goals in 2 games. So who knows? I don't know who's going to stop them. I don't know. That's a confusing game for me. I hate Flyers games unless they're playing like somebody in like a bettable plus 1.5 range. I get myself into sometimes.
Sure.
But not one of them. So I'll leave that one to you. I don't know if you have anything on Isles Canes. It's kind of a grosser game.
No, I don't. I just think the Hurricanes, I went back to them again. I took them to win the cup last year. I cashed out. I got a bunch of shit for it after the Svechnikov injury. I bet them again. They're off to a really, really slow start. I don't know what they're doing at goalie. They're rotating through 3 guys. The Islanders are really bad. I think their window's closed. But they're still tough. They're still Long Island tough. So I don't know. It's probably a don't overthink it under. I got no interest in getting involved though.
Yeah, we'll say Kochetkov has been terrible.
Yeah,
terrible.
I know. He looked so good when he first came on the scene too.
Yeah, he looked like the greatest goalie of all time. He was literally prime Fleury for a couple months. So, I mean, if there is any silver lining get right spot, it could very easily be the Islanders.
That's true. Maybe a shut.
Ooh,
maybe
this could be
shutout.
I mean, I was looking at it. The price is a little low. I'll tell you that much. And it's not. It's an Islanders tax to some degree, but I mean, they are coming off of a game where they did look respectable offensively. I know they lost the game, but put some bucks in the net. So we're seeing some interesting prices team total wise and goalie prop wise. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's Kochetkov get right game, but I don't want any part of it.
Did you know the Carolina Hurricanes play at the NC State's basketball gymnasium?
Yeah.
I did not know that until I went to a game and I saw fucking Vinny Del Negro's jersey in the rafters. And I said, what am I doing? I thought that was kind of interesting. All right, we can keep it.
Straight and Raleigh.
Yeah.
Wild Preds. What are you doing with this game? I heard you talking about this spot a little bit. You didn't like the first game after, which I didn't either because it was the Blues. So I wanted it to kind of be a little more of an even matchup game where it wasn't like overly obvious, I guess, to back a team against a ratchet team in the Blues relatively. Are you doing it here against the Preds?
Quite the contrary. Hold the phone. I did like it. I just didn't play the Wild on the money line. I played the Blues team total under 2.5 at plus 115. And the reason I did is because I heard or read that the Wild were the second worst defensive team in the NHL. So I said, I don't fear the Blues offense that much. So I said, all right, the team is in shambles. They just fired their head coach, their assistant coach. Where are they going to try and improve the most? As they have this hopeful resurgence of like, all right, let's get our shit together, the defense would tighten up a little bit. So that's how I played it. They allowed 1 goal to St. Louis. It was a very tight game. There was 2-1. They ended up getting an empty netter, I believe. Yes, I am going to play this game. I had it marked on my calendar as I saw the news break with the Minnesota Wild head coach. Any sport, any team, I like to back that team if they fire the coach or manager. So I'm doing it twice in a row, just different ways. I'm taking the Wild to win. Somebody mentioned to me, stop sleeping on the Predators. Listen, I am not sleeping on the Predators. In fact, I've lost money on the Predators early in the season because they seemed like a team who was getting a lot of respect, kind of like the Devils last year. 5 games in, you're like, the Devils' prices are too high when they're favorites, they're too short when they're – but then the Predators would just burn you. They were just fake sharp every fucking game. Finally, what have they done now? They've won 6 in a row. So, and they've beaten some decent teams too. Winnipeg, Avalanche. So anyways, it's not fun to fade a team that's this hot. I'm not trying to get cute, but the reason behind it is more so the Wild firing their coach. And the interim head coach used to work for the Predators, and the Predators fired him. So you got a little revenge angle too. So I'm going with the Wild on the money line.
Yeah, I'm kind of in. I don't know if I'm going to play it, but I definitely would be going nowhere near the Preds in this game. I'm with you. I like this spot definitely a little better than the blue spot, which they did come out on top of, and their defense looked much improved. So we'll see if that's a mainstay in the next couple of games. It probably should be against the Preds. I personally do not want to get involved in another Jets game after I try to rarely get myself involved, and we did with the Stars on Tuesday, and I kind of want to take my money and run.
Yep.
With anything Jets.
I think you should. The Jets are a tough team to figure out.
Yeah, they are.
And I don't like getting involved.
Especially with the Oilers coming off of that win where they played terrible in the last period and a half of that game, really, and stuck out in the shootout. Minus 120 on the road. I don't want to sniff that for a second.
Yep.
I'm good there. The Blues are kind of looking at me a little funny, though. I'll be honest with you. Coming off that spot.
I do play in that game. I like goals. Sabres overs are usually the most popular over, I think. The Avs and Sabres. I think every game, if I handed my sister my phone and said, make a bet for me in the NHL, she'd probably bet Sabres over, Tage Thompson goal, Avs overs. But they haven't really been treating people that well as of late. They're kind of underperforming. I think a lot of people were really high on the Sabres this year. What's their record now? 10-10-2. And as an over team, they're 3-6-1 in their last 10. But I really like what they did against the Rangers. I feel like that was a big game for them. I think they got a spark of confidence. I don't want to fade them. I totally get it. If the Blues are looking at you funny, makes sense to me if you want to get involved with the Blues in a bounce back spot. But I think both teams score here. So I like the over 6.5 despite the under being juiced.
No, I can get down with that. I was honestly debating whether to take the Blues or the Blues team total because it wouldn't be a bad rebound from playing the Wild with a new kind of defensive scheme and everything backing up there. But I really wanted to fade UPL, which usually with the Sabres, I only back them when UPL is in net because surprisingly he's been the only competent goalie for them. And it looks like he's going today. But after that performance against the Rangers where we had him in that game, so it was absolutely ridiculous to see some of the saves he made, and that was a huge win for them. Now going on the road against the Blues, who are definitely in the market for some goals after that Wild game, I don't think he has a great day. And on the same side, I guess I don't really have much confidence in Binnington either. So maybe I'll pivot to the over there too. There's a lot of goals in the slate today, I think. A lot of goals.
Agreed.
Avs Yotes, any thoughts?
I can't do it.
Can't do it.
You know what I'm saying too. I want the Coyotes on the money line, but I can't do it.
Yeah. Especially, if it was coming off of any game other than beating the Lightning as a relatively sharp, short dog, I would consider it. It's just the Avs are rolling right now, and this is – if I'm going to fade the Avs, I need a perfect spot to do it, and this is probably not it.
Yeah, and somebody mentioned the Coyotes playing in I think they play in Arizona State's hockey gym now. It's 4,000 people or whatever, and it's not fun for teams to travel to and play in. And I totally get it, makes sense. So it's that's kind of the home ice advantage that they have is the other team is miserable and doesn't want to be there. So if you did want to take them at a big plus price, I get it. I just don't think the Avs are a team that I want to get in front of right now, to be honest. 7-3 in their last 10. They're 15-6. They kind of came out of the gate really hot. So did the Knights. They cooled off a little bit, but they're right back at it. And I'm just going to hope. Did you take any futures? I got the Coyotes point total over, which is always fun.
Definitely did not take the Coyotes.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you that much. But yeah, this is I think there's such a fat price because I think we have Connor Ingram going. If it were any other team than the Avs, who are on a ridiculous streak right now, I would play the Avs puck line only because Connor Ingram is coming off of not just the ridiculous performance against the Lightning where he gave up one, but he also shut out Vegas a couple of days right before that. So, he's probably due for a little slacking here from one of the hotter offenses in the league. So I will gladly not touch anything in this game.
Cool.
Same with probably Stars Flames. I take my money with the Stars and run, probably because it's a relatively similar game. I don't know.
I bet on the Flames over their point total, so I don't have to bet them game by game. So now anytime they're in those short fucking lines and you want to bet them and then you wake up in the middle of the night, take your piss, and you see the Flames lost and that red X from Action Network app, you don't have to worry about that. You just invest in them throughout the entire season. So it's one long, painful journey instead of little multiple jabs.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the Stars, Flames, and Jets just feel like they're in like a circle of their own.
Yep.
It's just weird. I will say, though, decent point from the chat here. Stars did get pumped by them 7-4 in that game. That was, I think, last Friday.
Good point. Very good point.
Yeah, definitely not a bad point. And it was Markstrom, Ottinger, and net. And now we're seeing, I don't think you can give it 6.5 to these teams or open it there at the very least. But I mean, you're seeing a 6, which is pretty interesting. I know that game got hectic late with the Flames, like Chaco saying in this third period. So I mean, I wouldn't mind the Stars. It just feels super similar to what we took a couple days ago, which is why I just want to let it go. Let it go by the wayside.
Yep, smart move.
Caps Ducks. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think there's just some teams you can't really figure out. I have thought the Capitals would be a fade this season, and I thought I was right about them early in the year. I sniped them in a few good spots, but I might be totally off because that's another team that's kind of turned it around and been playing really good hockey. 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. They're on a West Coast road trip right now. I think they lost their first game 1-2 and then won it last night 2-1. Oh, they lost to the Sharks.
Also, Sharks. Yeah,
had the Sharks in that game. That was fun. So they lost to the Sharks 1-2, beat the Kings 2-1. Now they got the Ducks. I mean, the Ducks are a fun team. They've cooled off too, but back-to-back low-scoring 2-1 games for the Capitals on their West Coast trip. Maybe we finally get some offense. That's all I can really think about. I lean the Ducks here in this spot, but the Capitals are just a thorn in my side. I don't really want to burn a unit going against them, so I might go with the over here.
Yeah, this feels, I mean, to me like a really weird spot in the middle of this road trip because they're actually like directly in the middle of the road trip because they have this game and then 2 more on the road against Vegas and then in Mullet Arena against the Yotes. So, I mean, this is after what we've seen the first couple games of the road trip. I wouldn't be surprised if we see goals, and I definitely don't want to take the Ducks, but if I'm taking a side in this game, it would probably have to be them. I would consider a little more knowing that the Ducks have started to slide a little bit and they're not everybody's favorite team, especially
right
back at home. But yeah, the Caps are a tough team to figure out. I'm kind of with you, so I'm a little out.
Cool.
Do have Kemper tonight, who is absolute dog meat.
Okay.
Don't hate that a bit. And I really don't want a single part of Vegas and Vancouver.
I don't either. I mean, I like Vancouver, but that's also another team that's, I mean, like you might think on the surface, it's odd that they're favored, but they're fucking good.
They're really good.
They're really good. They're really good at home. 8-1-1 at home.
Looks like we got the Thursday night Surge 6. Thunder money line, Bucks money line, Devils money line, Lightning, Avs, and Cowboys. I bet, man. Thursday night, middle of the week, Surgical 6 always go really well.
If you had to pick, what's your top choice of who's going to sell?
Who's going to sell? Top choice. I mean, I haven't looked too much of the NBA yet. So OKC, Bucks, Judgment out. I'd say Devils. I don't like that game, but I don't have a good grip on it. It's like
I see Pandemic. He said Cowboys. That would be nice.
That would be hilarious.
Also, I have a side bet with Pete. Can Trent confirm, are the Steelers going to be in the Surgical 6 this weekend? I say no. Maybe he hasn't decided yet because it is Thursday. I thought it was Friday.
There's no way Trent is thinking about putting the Steelers in the Surgical 6 against Kyler Murray.
That's what I
can't
said.
see it. I can't see it.
That's what I said too. Okay, thanks. By the way, I got 30 minutes if that's cool.
Okay, yeah, we'll be wrapping it up around that anyway. I do want to take a quick trip to the NBA, see if you have anything you like there. I definitely have a thought or two to chime in, but I'll let you primarily drive the wheel on this one. I do want to start in Miami, though, or I don't know if that game's in Miami, but
it is in Miami. Well, I mean, I think, unless they're playing in a
they are in Miami. There we go. Heat Pacers. I mean, it sticks out like a sore thumb, I would say, on the board. Not because, like, Pacers, you're getting a Pacers tax on this total. but with obviously the Heat being favored at home and all the injury concerns around the roster and who's playing tonight, this seems like a ridiculous total, even for a Pacers game. Especially like whenever the Pacers play the Heat, I think the last game is one exception. You see like relatively high totals. I know that the Pacers are a different offensive animal this year than really they've been in past years. They're absolutely unreal, but they play relatively tighter games because these teams do not like each other. I guess the whole beef started with Jimmy Butler and TJ Warren. I don't know if Jimmy's playing today. I think he is. TJ Warren is gone, obviously, but these teams do not like each other. They play a tight physical game damn near every time they step on the court. And when I see a total that leans a little bit more towards the Pacers with the Heat favored, the Heat just might be scoring.
All right. I'm only doing this to play devil's advocate because it's no fun if we have a show and we just sit here and play patty cake.
Of course.
Do you know how many times the Pacers have gone over this season?
I do.
I'm just looking at the last 16 games. I don't know if that's every game of the schedule. They're 14-2 to the over. Yeah. And the only thing I have to say about this, because you're absolutely right. I mean, when you look at a Heat game, it's like the total is barely over 218. But you look at the Pacers games, the last couple totals, nothing has been under 240 in the last 6 games, except when they play the Magic, and the Magic have like one of the best defenses in the NBA.
Yeah.
So that would make sense a little bit. That's the only thing I can get behind is that Vegas just does not know what to do with the Pacers because all they do is go over. It doesn't matter who their opponent is. But with all that said, I still totally agree with you.
Well, with that being said, what do you think the Heat might be a better pivot?
Yes.
Taking the Heat instead of the over? Because I could get down with that.
Gun to my head, if I have to make a bet in this game, I would rather take the Heat to win.
Yeah, I'm in on that. I might do that. I might take a little pivot. But drive through whatever else is catching your eye on the board. I'm all ears.
The only thing that catches my eye, well, a couple things actually, I guess. And I'm not the biggest NBA guy, but I still like to dabble in it. I just want to mention that the Bulls are 5-14, and I despise the Chicago Bulls. So if the Milwaukee Bucks are in Trent's parlay, I give them my blessing, and I hope that they do the job tonight. But it kind of scares me. There's 2 8.5 spreads tonight there. And I always feel like when there's the same spread on a slate, one will cover and one won't, one favorite will cover, whatever. So you've got the Bulls that are plus 8.5, and then you got the Hornets that are plus 8.5. The Hornets against the Nets at plus 8.5 is kind of interesting to me. And I got to give a shout out to one of our followers, Brinks, in here, because he's on this and he pointed it out. The Nets are 7-3 ATS. They're 8-1-1 ATS at home. The Hornets what were they, 11.5, 12-point dogs against the Knicks? And
they're a pretty popular underdog pick that day too.
Yep. They
burned a lot of people.
That's what I'm getting at. They burned a lot of people. They didn't come close. They're 8.5. I think it was 9. It's down to 8.5. That might be interesting. That might be something to keep an eye on. So the Hornets could be that 8.5, that cover, and then hopefully the Bulls are not. That's really all I got. The only other thing I would like to talk about and get your thoughts about are the Clippers and the Warriors, because I think that's kind of an interesting game.
Yeah, and this is interesting too. I did not see that. Cam Thomas is back and playing tonight for the Nets.
For the first time?
For the first time in a handful of games.
Very interesting.
And that 8.5 is looking at me a lot funnier now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot funnier now. But yeah, this Clippers game, they're probably another team that honestly I want to take my money and run from after hitting them in a sharp spot last night, sweat free, and I guess now would be the pretty obvious flip flop of that because we faded the Kings off of that pretty much finals game. They were celebrating like they actually won the finals against the Warriors. Warriors choked that game. The Warriors were injured toward down the stretch, and now they're going to be missing CP3, Gary Payton, of course. So like, I guess on paper, it would be a bounce back spot for the Warriors. I just don't love getting involved with the Clippers on back-to-back nights.
So I have an idea.
What
about, now you might not think at first glance this is a gross over because, again, overs are always a very popular public play, especially when the Warriors are involved. But the Clippers have gone under 8 of their last 9 games, 8 in a row, actually, until their last game, which you guys had, I believe, was it last night? It was last night against the Kings.
Yeah.
They scored 131 points. So hear me out. I feel like this is a kind of a buy bad news, disgusting, contrarian over. Not saying I'm in on it, but it's just a thought I had. Chris Paul, I think, is out. Gary Payton Jr. is out, and the Clippers are on a back-to-back. The total, I think it only dipped 228 down to 227.5. I kind of like the over.
I don't hate it. I just don't love. I mean, it doesn't have to be the Clippers, obviously, but I would have to say, as a casual watcher of the NBA, that's probably the best that I've seen the Clippers offense look since James Harden was a part of the team.
Yep.
And obviously he was a big part of that. And PG played a lot of minutes. I think Norm Powell got hurt towards the end of that game too. So I don't know what to expect from the Clippers today, which sketches me out. But I don't hate that read at all.
I think they figured something out, and I think they get on a little bit of a hot streak personally.
I could see that.
Yeah,
I can see it. Not against it.
That's all.
Not against it in the slightest. Yeah, it's NBA. Did you happen to take? I think you skipped it on board review, but CBB. Did you happen to take a look through that at all?
I did not have time because I had POD Pete come on and pitch his plays. So that took away from CBB. So I have not looked. I'm happy to pull up the board and see if you like anything. Are we talking NFL at all or no?
No, we'll do that tomorrow. If you're back on, then we'll do the weekend preview and stuff.
I'll try to be. I don't know if I'm for sure tomorrow, but
yeah, whatever you can. But yeah, there's a couple games that are catching my eye a little bit.
Okay.
One of them is I guess teams who play UNC Wilmington are pretty much always in sharp spots, it seems like, and I guess they've come through a time or two earlier this season. Now Eastern Carolina is in that same spot today, where I think we got a line flip. I think they're +1, +1.5 last night, and now they're favored, which they probably should be at home, but they just got murked. They got 20-piece by George Mason. They're coming off of that spot, and UNCW, they had like a weird little scheduling thing. They played a tournament in Fort Myers, and they played their first road game technically after that was against FGCU, which they dominated, and they were also in Fort Myers. So they really didn't have to travel for that road game, which made it a little different because I do love fading teams that are going on their first road game after one of those tournaments. Mm-hmm. So this, I guess, technically in my brain falls under that category. And I like East Carolina and everything they have. They have a couple veteran guys. Now they finally have a guard that can score along with their two big men that are solid and kind of know how to defend. So I think this is a ECU spot.
I like it. I just played Wake Forest because it was Florida's like first true road game. So if you're telling me that that's what this is for UNC Wilmington,
kind of is.
Oh, kind of is. Okay, got it. Not to mention ECU.
Yeah,
just got their ass kicked by 22 points.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard how I explained it too much, but they had a tournament in Fort Myers. And then they played their first game after that was a road game, but it was also in Fort Myers. It's like they didn't have to travel. So it's not their first road game, but it's their first, I guess, travel and weird situations since then. So it's kind of falls in between. So not exactly their first road game, but spot-wise, I think it kind of matches up just as well.
I'm in.
I like that. I like that. See, Goots brought up the tweet. I guess Ben is on it as well. That's huge. Another one that stood out to me. Your boys, Tennessee Tech, they're catching 7 points today on the road to Northern Alabama, which was that's a little surprising to me. I'll be honest with you, and I'm not going to sit up here and act like Tennessee Tech is the greatest team of all time, but they are coming off of 3 straight covers, including one of them against Western Carolina. I believe that's the game that you took them as your what kind of geography play? What was that video?
Tennessee Tech was +6 down to +5.5 against Western Carolina. So we were wondering, somebody in my board review kept asking me, why is the line moving towards Tennessee Tech? Because they're a 1-5 team. And I was like, I don't know. Let's fucking figure it out. So Western Carolina, Tennessee Tech was in like the southeast region. So I didn't get the exact distance, but it was a little bit of a rivalry. So we took the home dog there, and they were winning the entire game, and then they almost fucking blew it. But they covered a 5.5 point spread, and they lost by 4. So what I'm seeing right now, and what I'm thinking is, I can just tell you, and this might sound silly, I don't think I like taking plus 7-point dogs in college basketball. For whatever reason, certain spreads, certain numbers just kind of don't treat you right. And I just did this last night with fucking Detroit Mercy plus 7 at home against Oakland. Not even close, lost by 15. But if you want me to pull out a map and let's see if there's any potential for a rivalry here, I'm more than happy to do so because
I don't want to take Tennessee. I want Northern Alabama.
Oh, well, what I was going to say is, okay, got it. Tennessee, I don't know how close it is to Alabama. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where they are. They're in Northern Alabama, wherever the hell that is, but it's a possibility. It could be closer than you think.
Then forget about the geography and just focus on what I said. I hate taking 7-point dogs. So that in itself is me approving the play for the 7-point favorite.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's, frankly, a lot of points for how Tennessee Tech has played. And, I mean, the most recent game for both of these teams is a common opponent when Western Carolina and Northern Alabama got 20-pieced by them compared to the much closer game that Tennessee Tech just played against them, which I thought was really shocking to see this number. Obviously, a common opponent isn't everything, but with it being both of those teams' most recent game, it definitely raised a little bit of an eyebrow for me. So I will be placing coins very reluctantly on Northern Alabama today.
Okay. All right. I honestly, I might have to tell that. It's so disgusting.
It's just absolutely filthy. Absolutely filthy. I might have to do it.
Like it.
Other than that, I know, I guess, a couple favorite games that everybody's loving to mention. FAU is laying 7.5 against Liberty, undefeated Liberty, but at home, it's not a spot that I love to back FAU after they just, I don't know, not that Virginia Tech is very good, but they just absolutely demolished them by 34 in the last game. Big win against Texas A&M right before that. So they're putting up points. The offense looks a little better. I think Liberty's defense is a little more of a challenge. So I would probably lean Liberty. I don't like playing a plus 7.5 on a undefeated team, no matter who it is. Big time undefeated team. First thoughts of that game. What are you thinking?
I can't tell you I have anything on that.
Well, here, let me present you with this too. Okay. Liberty's offense has been nearly as good as FAU's offense in this spot, which they haven't played the same caliber teams, but Liberty is coming off of, I mean, they scored 70+ in every game this year, dropped 99 on Maryland Eastern Shore. Their last game, FAU's offense looked absolutely incredible, dropping 84 on Virginia Tech, and we're seeing 146.5 down to 144. So,
yes.
That would catch my eye.
And I saw Kaprizov just asked about.
Couple people were talking about this under, and I think I'm kind of with him there. Which
I like the under.
Yeah, maybe that leans a little bit more into Liberty too. So I would be down for that. I think that under is a solid play.
Yep.
Trying to think of what else everybody was mentioning in chats. A couple people like this Hofstra game, like USF. I'm ashamed to admit that when I was back in Tampa last Christmas break, we all squad rode Hofstra and went to this game in Tampa, and they lost after hanging with them for a little bit, which was hilarious. But now they're hanging 4.5, 5 against USF. They've been really, really good to start the season, and I wouldn't mind this being a USF sell spot, to be honest with you. They don't go on the road all that much. Not that they have the biggest home court advantage, but when they do go on the road, they get absolutely pumped. And this is a pretty weird spot for them to be in. So I wouldn't mind. I believe this is their first road game of the season, first true road game of the season. So I wouldn't mind backing Hofstra to blow the shit out of them in the spot. So I think they muck them. Not a bad
I like that. It's very cold in New York. Well, today's a little bit warmer than yesterday, but I'll tell you, if you're from Tampa and you're getting off that plane, you're chilly. So I don't think you're ready to play basketball in a Hofstra gym. So I like that 4 to 4.5. I'm seeing. I don't mind that one bit. I'm going to bring up a game that's just catching my eye.
Bring it up,
especially because you're a Big 12 guy. I don't like Oklahoma State. I don't like them in football. I don't like them in basketball. And I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I saw the fact that it was a 66-64 game. Didn't Notre Dame beat them?
Yeah, I think they were 7.5 point dogs, beat them outright.
They won.
What did you say?
They won, yeah.
Yeah, Notre Dame's really bad. Creighton's on the road, but they're a ranked team. I'm not saying the spread doesn't necessarily make sense, but I see it's 7.5 around that number. Oh no, it's 8 now.
Yeah.
Do you think that's bait, or do you think Creighton can just win by 14?
I've been kind of in the middle because it's a weird game. First of all, it's a tough spot because Creighton just had an embarrassing performance where they got 20 pieces and only put up 48 points against Colorado State in their last game prior to the holiday. I don't know if they've played since. Double checking out to make sure, but I don't know. Gallagher-Iba Arena, I believe this is at home for Oklahoma State. That's a tough place to play. So, like, I would love to back the bounce back here. Maybe it's a little obvious. I don't know. I haven't had my pulse on Creighton tickets, but I definitely don't want to go anywhere near backing Oklahoma State in this game. I'll tell you that much. I think they suck.
Okay. I got another one for you. Are we okay on time?
Yeah, we're good.
Are we finishing with college basketball for the next 15 minutes?
Yeah, we'll probably finish up here and then hop into squad ride.
Okay. What the fuck is the University of Hawaii doing in Utah to play basketball? It is 11.5 down to 10.5 is what I'm seeing. I don't know what the current number is. Oh, there it is right there. It's 11.5, right? The 11.5. Money's coming in on Hawaii, probably because they're 5-0. They're 5-0, and I think they're 4-1 ATS. Utah's 4-1, 4-1 ATS. Total 146 down to 144.5. Hawaii just played 2 games on a neutral court against USD. What's that? San Diego?
San Diego, yeah.
And then University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Goots, this is so nice that you have like a producer here. Can we find out where this neutral court was? I mean, listen, if it's in Utah, then they've already set up camp and they're not jet lagged or anything. But you play 2 games in a neutral. You're far away from home for a long time. And now you're going to Utah. I mean, Utah's a respectful basketball school, aren't they? Andrew Bogut.
They're really good.
So do you think that I want to take Utah?
I don't mind Utah. I looked in this neutral court where they played San Diego and Rio Grande Valley. It was in Palm Springs, California. So that's where they were maybe camped out for a little bit before the holiday. I don't know what they did after that, but yeah, Utah is good, and I think people will start realizing that pretty soon. If they haven't already, they hung with Houston for a while. Fell to St. John's in the second or final game of that tournament, but then they just beat St. Mary's in a game that was probably not as close in the end as the score probably indicates. So I think they dominated a majority of that second half. It's like they're a really good team. They can shoot the lights out, and I don't know if they've been at home since then. Yeah, they played 2 games at the beginning of the season at home.
Yep.
They went to Charleston. They went and they played in Vegas against St. Mary's, I believe that was. Or no, that was on the road there. So now I love taking home teams that I think are really good coming off of tournament performances and first game at home. Teams that are having to travel a good bit. So I think it could be a smash spot for Utah.
And I think it's very impressive that they were able to score 66 points against Houston because Houston's defense is so good.
Well, the most impressive part about that too is, I mean, a lot of that game they shot the lights out from 3, which I guess the majority of the time was one guy. Kind of fell apart at the end, but I mean they still ended 10 of 31 from 3, which is not bad, shooting 31 threes against Houston's defense. But a majority of that game they're shooting better than that. They're just kind of chucking at the end. So I mean they can shoot the ball. That could be a problem against Hawaii.
I think I like Utah. I don't mean to be throwing around such big favorites, No, it's not that nasty, but I don't know, double-digit favorite against a 5-0 team. I think that's really all that's catching my eye as I'm scrolling through the board.
I like it, and I'm in. Well, let me ask you, out of everything, we will start getting a squad ride in a second. You know what? We'll do that. Good. Play the clip. Let's get ready. We got to lock in. Squad ride. Loading.
That is awesome.
W intros.
I actually don't think I've seen that yet. Is that new?
Yeah, relatively, maybe 2 weeks. So let me ask you, what from all we talked about in college basketball, what is catching your eye probably the most?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm probably going to tell you on ECU. I think I really like that. I also, as I told you, I don't like 7-point dogs. And then you're telling me you like Northern Alabama, which could be a rivalry game. I saw somebody comment here that Alabama and Tennessee do touch. So Yeah, especially Tennessee Tech having almost blown that game. I think they just caught Western Carolina kind of maybe sleeping, and maybe they aren't that good. And I think the spread indicates that. So I like Northern Alabama. I'm with you on ECU. And then I think if I had to give you my favorite play that I've mustered up, I think I like Utah.
Okay. We can go Utah for now. Then I'll
Oh, wait. Did you mean only college basketball or you meant NHL too? I'm sorry.
No. We're going college basketball first. Then we're
Okay,
going to NHL.
okay.
We'll see how many we have, see how much we like. But I'll pick one of my two for now. Then I'll take ECU. And then we'll keep UNA on the back burner until we see what we have. So Goots, we'll put ECU ML in there, and then we'll put Utah minus 11.5. Then on the ice, what are some of your favorites? I definitely want to take some combination of either the over in the Kraken Leafs or just the Kraken.
I vote over.
Over. I'm in for that. Kraken over 6.5.
Yep.
I'm in. That can go in the vote. I didn't hate the Sabres Blues over either.
I like that one a lot too.
My
other two favorite players are the Wild and the Sabres over.
Wild and the Sabres over. I like the Sabres over.
Okay.
The Lightning one is just staring me in the face, dude.
The Lightning under?
The over.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Lightning over. That's a good one too.
Dude, it's a good one.
I'm just going to feel like such an asshole if Vasilevsky and Jari stand on their heads because it's so obvious. And the NHL is like the king sport of just bet what makes sense. MLB, it's close second. So, but
we can keep
early in the season is when this weird shit happens. So I don't know that I'm playing it, honestly, but I'm all for it.
Yeah, we can leave it out. We can leave that one out. I don't know how I feel about that one. That one's just weird. So what do we have in the forward? We have the Kraken over, we have the Blues over, we have Utah, and we have ECU. Chad, what are we thinking for the fifth piece? What are we thinking for the fifth
something
piece?
In the NFL?
We could go something in the NFL. Thursday Night Football does indeed exist.
Dak to throw a pick.
We can't do props.
Oh, okay.
Not for the sake of just not doing a prop, but I think we're like 0-5 all time putting props in the squad ride. So I try to stay away from those. I mean, I like the under. It's just
put the under in there.
Yeah, I'm down to put the under in there.
Yeah.
Under 47.5. Don't just vote for it because it's the prime time under, but take the plays. I think we have realistically my vote's going somewhere on the ice because I love those two overs. So that's what we'll go with, Goots. We'll go with Kraken Leafs over 6.5, Sabres Blues over 6.5, Cowboys Seahawks under 47.5, and there you got it up there. ECU ML Utah minus 11.5. I'm taking my vote to Toronto.
Why does Trent keep saying he needs a Devils PP square? Why do you need someone on the Devils?
He's probably crafting a lay based on the surgical 6 that he's got today.
Oh, and the Devils are in there, huh? Let's see.
I mean, Jack Hughes is just a Trent Supergoats. Just a Trent Supergoats. Go, golf clap. I don't know that I can do it like Krabs, man.
Go. Come on.
I don't know that I can do it like Krabs.
Nobody can do it like Krabs.
Breed. Yeah.
Krabs has a like an interesting like twang to his good. Come on. I'm looking at Devils players right now. It sucks. I mean, these guys are going to shoot, but the problem is, Trent, I told you this because I just bet Carter Hart saves. They block a lot of shots. So you're going to take an SOG. A guy's going to fucking fling that puck off his stick, but it's going to go into the thigh of a Flyers player. So just be ready for that.
I mean, like, Trent knows SOGs against the Canes are one thing because they do similar things. The Flyers are pretty much the Canes junior when it comes to that. It's not a great prop.
Jack Hughes over 4 shots on goal when he's at 9, 6, 8 in the last 3 games. Yeah. I mean, is he always at 4? 4 seems low, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't play these.
I think he's always at 4. I don't know if he gets put up higher. But let Bethune cook. Classic. There's not many Devil squares that I would love personally that are on the board.
Yeah.
Maybe I just don't like. I don't know if I like that game.
Toffoli hit
could be air.
Toffoli hit because you know what? The Flyers bang. The Flyers bang. And the Devils are a finesse team. They're a flashy team. They're going to have to set the tone. Toffoli hit. That's my Devils PP square. I think I have to put my money where my mouth is and play that. Can you play that? Can you bet that straight? Hits?
Hit? I don't know if you can.
Oh, all right. Well,
yeah, you might be cooked. Do they have any Devils players for block shots? I don't think so.
I don't see any, no.
They might have Flyers up for block shots. Not that that's a Devil square, but that could be the difference. They have Sanheim up for 1.5. It's pretty normal. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Take that shit.
Backyard Brang. Let's go. W raid. Potential W raid.
What happened? Oh, you got raided?
Backyard breaks. Raid. Let's go, fellas. Welcome to the stream. Voting on the squad ride right now. And Trent said he might have to take that meat on table for Toffoli hit.
No, not meat on. I literally mustered that up in 16 seconds looking at it. No, not meat on table.
Hilarious.
But that's what I would co-sign. I'm just telling you, you're gonna get burned with these shots on goal. I'm thinking about taking Carter Hart saves. I can see it already. The Flyers are gonna have 33 block fucking shots.
Yeah, they probably will be. Probably will. Can't wait for Trent to be bitching at the Jed for it to fully hit mid-third period.
He's going to set the tone. He's going to get it. All right, fine. Meat on table.
That's a tone setter. That's a tone setter square. Right?
It is a tone setter. You're going to have to set the tone against a team like the Flyers.
Yeah, you need that. You absolutely need that.
What's winning right now? I can't really read that font. Is that what the fuck is
that? Gooch, man. Don't remind me of that game, man. Don't remind me of that game. Or that square, bro. Moose shit square.
Oh, that's fucking funny,
dude. Oh, right now it's looking like it's a runaway winner of the Kraken Leafs over 6.5.
Wow,
I love that.
Okay.
So I think that's a winner. So I love to hear that. Trent says got to be Toffoli hit.
Oh, it's Toffoli hit. I'm gonna find a way. I can't play Prize Picks in New York, but I'm gonna find a way to play it.
You might have to. You might have to. Hilarious.
Does it have to be Cooch?
Does it have to be Cooch?
Or can it be?
I mean, Cooch is like the one guy. He's like. Talked about it yesterday for Wagon Wednesday. He's Nathan McKinnon. He's this year's Nathan McKinnon. Just, I don't recommend many guys to just lock him in every single day. I won't get mad at you for doing it with Coach.
Let me ask you this: who is the first touchdown scorer tonight?
First touchdown scorer tonight.
Trent's pretty good at these, isn't he?
He is. He just has the same formula, so I can guarantee you he's probably taking Jake Ferguson. So he just takes all the white tight ends. That's his formula.
Well, what about Bobo?
Jake Bobo. I do think the Cowboys score first.
Yeah, they're pretty good at scoring first.
Yeah, that's the one thing they get out to a pretty good start. I know Pete was talking about that in your stream. A lot of people were playing first half, first quarter. It's like I don't have anything against it. I think it might take a little longer than people expect, but I think they score first. I'm looking through it now. I mean,
I'm going Cooks, I think.
Yeah.
A couple of us took him on Thanksgiving and he didn't get there, but he scored.
He did score.
Cooks is cooking.
Huh. I mean, you know who looks awfully low?
Who?
Rico Dowdle.
That guy is on my mind. I thought his name was Rico Dundle. I do have a corp call coming in that I got to hop on.
You got it.
Javon, thank you. Good luck tonight. I'll be at the Knicks game. If anybody has any props, send them to me. And good luck on your bets. Thanks, man.
Appreciate you. But yeah, looks like we got the Rico Dowdle's an interesting one. I'll have to figure it out. Figure out a first TD score. But if I'm talking long shot plays, I am locking in that Michael Gallup first 20 yards, raised 20 yards for plus 1,900. That's my long shot bet for that game. But looks like we got the Kraken Leafs over 6.5 for the squad ride. We're going to see bangs in that game. I don't know who it's going to come from. I think it's going to come more from the Kraken. So I'll probably be playing a little small wager on the Kraken on the ML as well. But main play, squad ride, 7 goals plus in Toronto. Kraken bounce back. Need Nav square. We'll cook, and I'll figure something out with you. So yeah, stream tomorrow, same time tomorrow, same place. We'll see who's on at that point. Maybe it's a Jen, maybe it's somebody else, but we'll be doing NFL previews tomorrow, kind of the normal weekend stuff. And yeah, Trent is thirsty, absolutely thirsty for some squares. But yeah, same time, same place tomorrow. We'll be seeing goals in Toronto. Go Kraken. Kraken, not in the crack house. W's.